It was Ring of Honor. First opportunity to do commentary in Spanish. I was working in the pipelines. One day, I was on my lunch break. I had a missed call and had a voicemail, and it was Alex Abrahantes, who is currently Commander's manager on AEW. He was looking for somebody to help with the Spanish. That Alex remembered who I was, and he's like, you know what, we need somebody to come up on AEW and give him a shot. And it was a tryout that turned into a job.
Puro pinche 956.
The historic Cine El Rey has a lot of history. We used to wrestle there every Friday. Mm-hmm. That's where I started up, man. I was there at the very first. I made events at the very first Wrestling Revolution show.
It was pretty awesome. This is a video of you and your lady here.
And my wife.
Yeah, you and your wife. Yeah.
It was a slow process.
Yeah,
right? That was.
You're being a gentleman, bro.
Exactly.
You're being a gentleman,
dude. And I was intimidated. I had this gorgeous woman in my living room watching the movie, and she was interested in me. I didn't understand it.
And that's weird, right? Because you're this guy that goes out and wrestles in front of hundreds, if not thousands, of people, and you're freaking just nervous sitting next to this.
Dude, I was a nervous wreck. Like, I liked her a lot, right? And I thought she was gorgeous, and we just connected. Like, wrestling, this niche thing.
Yeah.
And then you show up to this family reunion, and it's not even a relative. It's your relative is dating a wrestler, and he's here too. Like, oh shit! Like, I'm already looking around. Like, where is he? Can I spot him? Can I point him out? Because I know everybody here.
Hold on. So what are you looking for? Like, you're like, this guy's got to be like 6 foot 4.
So I didn't know what to expect.
And then I walk in.
Then I get JRock.
What's up, people? It's your boy JRock, in your face, literally, man. And we are here in the Collab Space Studios. I'm trying to get everything situated. Y'all can tell I'm missing something here. There they are. Okay. I was going to be like, whoa, we can't start the show without the shades. All right, what's going on, man? We are here again. Like I said, the studio got me a little off track, not having my shades on. It's like not having your tights on, you know what I mean?
It's like those bad dreams.
Yeah.
Like, you ever had those dreams where, you hear your music, you're about to hit the ring, but you can't find your boots, or you don't have your trunks on, or something's missing.
I was like, what the hell is going on here? So what's up, guys? We are, again, just ready to get after it tonight. Special guest, man. You already saw him, but special guest tonight, man. And I was really excited to have. I'm gonna be calling him Joe all night because to me,
that works.
I grew with him as Bandana Joe, and even as I try to say Alvaro, I still call him Joe.
It's a tongue twister, man.
Yeah, right. And so, so Joe tonight. If you hear me say Joe, I do mean this gentleman, this awesome guy, man, from indie wrestling, working with us at Blockbuster Wrestling. To working all over Texas and all over the U.S., I think, as well, right?
Yeah,
and,
I was in different places. Yeah, Texas mostly, right?
Yeah.
Went to Matamoros, Reynosa, Monterrey, that sort of thing.
Okay, so all over the world, and now I'm working for one of the top companies in the industry, AEW. So he is one of the Spanish commentators. There, I want to say Mexican sometimes, but I think I'm fucking that up, right?
Well,
the Mexican commentator.
That's funny
right?
Because when I was a kid, every time I saw something in Spanish, I assumed it was Mexican. I didn't realize that there's a whole different world that pertains to us speaking Spanish,
Yeah,
and that's the way it is on the commentary table. I represent the Hispanics, not even just the Mexicans. It's like, soy Tejano, dude. Like I grew up ahí en la frontera, right on the border of the Rio Grande Valley. So I was getting the best and the worst of both worlds. So that's who I represent, right? And then my colleagues, Ariel Levy, who is from Chile, actor from Chile who came over to the States, wrestles in Florida, great guy, very quick-witted. But he's always, he's a fan of the rudos, and, sometimes that gets under my skin. But then I also get to work with Carlos La Voz Cabrera, the voice of my childhood.
Oh my God, that's all of us, right?
And he's Colombian, so you've got three different people, representations on the Spanish commentary table at AEW.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, that's awesome, brother.
And not a lot of people would know that. You know what I mean? Just because it's Spanish all across the board doesn't mean that you're from the same place.
See, that was me growing up, man. Like I just thought everything's Mexico.
Yeah, right.
It's universal.
So, guys, again, man, Alvaro Riojas. Dude, I see that's the freaking the new Braunfels guy in me, bro. Riojas. I'm saying that right?
Alvaro Riojas.
See, that's
you got to roll the R. You have to.
I think I got to drink more beer to roll that R.
If you don't roll the R's, then it's just not happening, bro.
So, yeah, I tried, man. But, man, Alvaro, and again, see, I'm going to go back and forth.
You can call me Joe, man. Joe. That's how you know me.
Yeah, so I'm just loving the fact that where you're just seeing where you started, man, and bringing you back in the day to BBW. I want to hope that I tried my best to make sure I made you look like a star here. And I had, bro, you needed no help. You were freaking awesome in the ring. You had the crowd behind you every time. So it's awesome, bro, to see everything just kind of come into tuition, man. So, but right now, that's what I heard you. I saw AEW was coming to town. What event was? I was at Kill Tony.
Yeah.
I went to Kill Tony on December 30th, and I was like, AEW's coming to town, so that means Joe's gonna be in town.
Yeah.
I gotta get him on the podcast. So I reached out to him. I'm like, let's get going. So what do y'all got going on tomorrow, Joe?
So we got AEW Dynamite. You know, like it's funny because like a lot of people ask me, so what do you do when you get to the venue? You know, and it's honestly a whole lot of nothing. You know, we hurry up and wait is the game. You know, because we show up and we have a call time and we have catering's there, so we go grab a bite. Then we have our sound check, which it's quick and easy. You know, if something doesn't sound right, you let them know, they fix it. And then we wait for for everything to come out and for us to get ready for the show. And, sometimes, there's always last minute changes. And you know how it is in wrestling. The card is subject to change. So it's very true even on the professional stage, not just in indie wrestling.
Yeah. And dude, the fan in you, right? You're like, dude, they got to be doing cool stuff, man. Like,
well, I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't want to give too much of what goes on behind the curtain, but like, there's a lot of cool things that happen before a show that maybe doesn't even make the show, that sort of thing. You see interactions, you see the way people, the people are around each other. People that you see a certain character on TV, you see them being their true self as well. So that's that's pretty neat. The fan in me is like shrieking every time I'm there.
I can only imagine.
I was like, dude, I'm always wearing wrestling shirts, and I'm like, okay, I got Alvaro on, and I got to represent AEW, so I had to pull my hat out.
Yeah, you got the cap on.
And I had to pull the Sting shirt out.
Yeah, dude.
Because, bro, I remember seeing that you took a photo with Sting, and I'm very jelly on that one, bro.
Dude, I had to.
So, yeah, how was that?
That was great, man. And Sting's one of those guys that you see backstage, and he's just an intimidating figure, right?
Yeah,
he's over 6'2", and he's like, he's a man, dude. Like, that's Sting, And you get this larger than life character that you're used to seeing on TV. To see it in person is like just out of this world, and the fan in me again, like just in heaven. I knew that he had already announced that he was on his last run, so I figured, when am I going to get the opportunity to get a photo with him? He's one of those guys who's very private, so you don't see him a lot backstage, right? Yeah. And it was one of those rare times where the commentary team had a little bit of a break, so I was back there. I saw him. I just had to get the photo.
Hell yeah.
I had to, man. Like, I would be mad at myself.
The fanboy in you, right? Oh, yeah, exactly.
Because I'm not very big on photos. Like, I don't take a lot of photos. And people always say, get the photos, right? Like, even Bad Bunny's got that new song, Debí tomar más fotos, So that's the kind of thing that now I'm trying to change about myself. Is like, get the photos, don't be embarrassed. Like, you never
get the memories.
These opportunities don't always present themselves.
Yeah, I want to hope to think that, hell, bro, I wanted BBW to be a family, right?
Yeah.
You think about the work aspect of it, right?
Yeah,
let's just, I don't want to go too far, but that's what you want to hope that it always will be, though, is right, the work aspect.
But it's hard,
what
dude.
It is. I bet it is,
because if you have your baby, right? Like, you're gonna love it. You're gonna do everything you can to make it thrive. Not everybody shares the same goal, and you can't have those expectations on somebody. Like, you can't expect them to love it as much as you do. So that's what makes it hard. Is that at any point, if someone else says, "Hey, this isn't for me," it's gonna break your heart, right? But you're going to have to, delegating is one of those things that I have an issue with. Like, I don't delegate very well because I feel like no one loves this as much as I do, that sort of thing, when it comes to my personal projects.
The passion.
And I'm sure BBW felt the same way, like everything that you were doing for it,
Yeah, and we'll dig into that, okay? Yeah. We'll definitely dig into that because it was a baby for me. And I sacrificed so much for it, and I miss it. And we'll dig into that, man. But Joe, I want to know, like, where did this all start from, bro? We're gonna see you tomorrow. I got to see you in, was that Rosenberg or no? We're in McAllen. The last time I saw you, right?
Yeah. It was the Edinburgh show.
The Edinburgh show.
And
yeah,
dude, that was the first time AEW went to the Valley, man. Like,
really?
I was so, man, it just felt so good to know that I was. Dude, these are towns that I grew up in, like, performing as a wrestler, like sometimes for free, just because I loved it. And now, I have a career with it, right? And I'm not trying to get too deep or anything. I'm a very sentimental guy. Man. Like, I swear to God, like you might see a few tears. You know, you might see a few tears.
You're good.
Pero to be able to come back to my hometown, man, like to my home area, and show up with this machine that I work for, right? Like I'm a part of a, you know, we're making changes in the Spanish area with AEW, a lot of positivity coming out of it, right? So to bring that home meant the world, right? Like so, the whole AEW thing started back in 2015. You know, to answer your question, 2015 is when AEW first, not AEW, I'm sorry, it was Ring of Honor, first opportunity to do commentary in Spanish.
When you were doing this commentary. So
basically, I was working in Houston. I was out there, shoot job. I was working in the pipelines and looking for opportunities with wrestling. Oh, yeah. And one day, I was on my lunch break. I had a missed call and had a voicemail, and it was Alex Abrahantes, who is currently Commander's manager on AEW. Yep. And he left me a voicemail saying that he was that I was referred to him. As far as like Ring of Honor was coming down to San Antonio, he was looking for somebody to help with the Spanish, and he was looking for local wrestlers, right, to come in and possibly help him out doing the Spanish commentary. And if I'm not mistaken, it was All-Star Extravaganza was the pay-per-view, Ring of Honor All-Star Extravaganza, if I'm not mistaken, in San Antonio. And sure enough, they gave me that opportunity, and from there, they liked me. 2016, another opportunity. And from there, it wasn't until 2021 that Alex remembered who I was, and he's like, you know what, we need somebody to come up on AEW and give him a shot. And it was a tryout that turned into a job.
Man, that's awesome,
make the best of your opportunities, man. You have to. You know, you get not very many, especially with the kind of business it is. You know, it's nationwide, it's worldwide.
For sure.
So to be picked, you know, to have that opportunity, just to even have an opportunity, not a lot of people even get that opportunity. So, I mean, you make the best of it and shit.
And one thing I kind of glossed over is that when Alex was reaching out to people like, hey, do you know anybody that speaks Spanish that's in wrestling? This and that. He ended up communicating with Chris Marvel of San Antonio, who owns Hybrid School of Wrestling. So Chris Marvel was like, well, I don't speak Spanish, but there is this wrestler from the Valley who I know, and he was talking about Bandana Joe, right? So if it wasn't for Chris Marvel, directing them to me, then I wouldn't be here right now.
That's awesome, man.
And if I would be here right now, then I would have been telling a different story.
Yeah, yeah, that's for damn sure, right? So where did the love of wrestling come from? Where did you start loving wrestling, man?
Man, as far as I can remember, even back when I was 5 years old, my birthday party was WWF. I had a Hulk Hogan piñata.
My birthdays are so like that, Joe.
And I don't know I don't know where they got it. Maybe back then they were all over the place, but my parents had bought the plates. It was paper plates of WWF. You had Jake the Snake Roberts, the Ultimate Warrior, the Big Boss Man, Hulk Hogan, like all these characters from back then. And the cake, again, was Hulk Hogan. So even back when I was 5 years old, I was a fan. And I've got to, I guess, give credit to my uncles. I had an uncle on each one of my family's side.
Who got you that?
It was on my dad's side, it was my Tío Lalo. Every time I visited my grandma, I would go into his room, and he always had wrestling on. And if he was watching something else, and if I would show up, always wrestling. Switch it over to wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And on my mom's side, and maybe the one who really opened up my eyes to what wrestling really was my Tío Javier, my mom's brother. And both of them, have passed on, so may they rest in peace. But my Tío Javier is the one who quite subtly explained what kayfabe was. So I remember him pointing out, I don't know if you remember the wrestler, The Stalker.
No, I don't remember The Stalker.
You remember The Stalker?
No.
I don't remember.
I want to say around 94, 95, maybe even 96. I don't quite remember the time frame. Okay. Well, The Stalker was in WWF, and he was this guy, big mustache, long blonde hair, but he had camouflage all over his face, camouflage clothes. It was Barry Windham. So Barry Windham was portraying The Stalker, and I was watching TV with him, watching wrestling, and my Tío Javier goes, "That's The Stalker, right?" I said, "Yes." He's like, "Well, what if I told you that was Barry Windham?" And I didn't quite know who Barry Windham was. And I was like, "No, I don't believe you." And then he goes, "Well, what about Goldust? You know Goldust?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "That's Dustin Rhodes, right?" I knew who Dustin was because of his father. I knew Dustin.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way. He's like, yeah. And I was like, why do they have different names? Like, what's going on? He's like, well, when they move from company to company, they can do that. They can change their names. And I was like, wow. Like, so now they portray different people, different characters. And that really like opened up my mind to how fun wrestling could really be. Yeah. That it wasn't this straight shoot of a fight that you're going to be seeing. Like, I didn't believe it was real. But I was intrigued by the
stories,
the characters, the entertainment aspect of it. That's what opened up my eyes.
How old were you at this time? Do you remember?
When he talked about that, I must have been like 10.
Okay.
Like 10 years old.
So you kind of had like an understanding of
before something. That, if somebody said wrestling was fake, I'd fight them, right? So
I still do.
Yeah, it's not fake.
And after
it's
that,
scripted,
I would be more
but it's
like,
not fake.
That's what I would say.
Yes.
After that, I'd be like, it's scripted, like, but it's not fake. It hurts.
Not.
Don't try this at home, remember?
Yes.
I used to tell people, let me hit you with the steel chair. Mm-hmm. I remember I was in 5th grade and I changed schools and I met this kid, which is my best friend now, Joe Tristan. And we go to the restroom and I'm thinking, we're watching fucking Monday Night Raw, and we're just seeing, I just had seen the Dudley Boys go off and, and we go in the restroom and I see the wet sign and I pick it up. And I went and I was like, oh, I went and hit him in the back and he fucking, like I hit him and I thought he was going to play it off. Well, of course, one of the other kids goes and tells my teacher and I got in trouble for hitting him with the website.
If I told you how many times I went to the principal's office, like we had a principal named Mr. Riojas and you would think he would have some like,
bro, we're related,
exactly,
bro.
Like, hey,
sympathy
have a heart,
towards me, right?
I'm probably your nephew, but no, he let me have it back then when the paddle was allowed.
Oh no.
You guys ever get the paddle?
I never got the paddle. I probably slipped out of that one.
Yeah.
Probably by
Different
a year
era.
or two.
I mean, from the parents I did, but not at school.
Right.
No way. Like,
I got different shit at home,
It
too,
used to
all
be
the time.
bad. Like, I was telling my kids, like, because my kids don't speak a lot of Spanish. I mean, and my twin stepdaughters, they grew up on Spanish, but once they started school, they just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Back when I was a kid, of course, I would speak more Spanish than English. And our teachers were so mean. Like they would hit us with a yardstick if we spoke Spanish. Dude. And to think, that I don't think they were they weren't trying to like rob that from me, right? Like they were just trying to stick to what the rule was. It's English in school. They were aggressive as hell. But to think.
And this is in McAllen?
This is back in Roma, Texas.
Oh,
man.
okay.
Star County, over Star County, USA. But dude, like that, this is back when I was a kid. So you're talking about like early 90s.
Okay.
And to think that now my job, what pays the bills, what puts food on the table is Spanish. I didn't.
They were trying to beat it out of you.
It wasn't until I spoke to Thunder Rosa about it, right? And we did a podcast, the taco vlog, and my wife and I were talking. My wife Mel, and Mel was telling me like, wow, like imagine like they were trying to take that from you, and this is now your job. Like what a full circle moment. You said it right now. What a full circle moment. And I hadn't really thought about it that way. And when people have asked like, how did you know that you could do this? I didn't. I grew up on the border and I was watching WWF, WCW, whether it was in English or Spanish. I would try to get as much wrestling as I could. And watching it in Spanish really helped. Not just WWF or WCW, but AAA and Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre. Like I take a lot from that. And I didn't even know I had it in me until I gave it a shot. Yeah. So little did I know, like my whole life I was preparing for this role.
That's crazy, man.
So like through wrestling, like did you ever see yourself as being commentator, kind of like a Corey Graves type deal, like injuries and stuff, like, and then turn them into a commentator and like things of that nature where like, sometimes things don't work out in the ring and then, okay, I still want to be in the business somehow, some way. Like, is that what like kind of?
I can't say that I saw myself doing commentary, at least not in Spanish. Like I knew what I was trying to be as a wrestler, and I wanted to represent the Hispanic people. Speak the way I speak at home, and that's a mix of both English and Spanish. And so I didn't think I would be doing any commentary or anything like that. To me, there was no other option than to make it as a wrestler. I thought I had everything it took, and I was going for it. And it wasn't even an injury that took me to the commentary table. It's the fact that I felt so comfortable. It's kind of like a fish in the water. That's kind of what it felt like.
Does AEW know you used to wrestle?
Yeah, I got a few people, like, it's funny because Colt Cabana will see me and he'll be like, Bandana Joe, he'll puff up his chest and walk around. But I mean, they didn't find out until like others, I told one person told another. It wasn't like they found me and like, hey, you used to be a wrestler. No. And that's because like I did do extra work before that was with WWE, never with AEW.
You got to understand too, like these guys aren't looking sometimes.
Yeah.
They're just like, when a situation comes about, then that's when they're like, hey, we know a guy. And that's why the wrestling industry is so small, but it's also freaking huge at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When the inside can be as small as as you think it could be, but it's at the same time, its talent is huge out there. So to hear that Chris Marvel put his neck out there, or even just to put your name out there, is amazing, man. And I love what they're doing out there too. Hybrid wrestling. I think that was something I always wished that could have been around here when we were working, because I would have trusted that more than where I was getting my shit from.
Well, it's funny because Chris and I had never really worked on the same card or together very much. I think we only had one match in Laredo, and that was like a tag match or a 4-way, something like that. But when he opened up his school, he really opened up the doors to me and anybody I wanted to bring along, because there were some times that he would have seminars with certain stars that only his students were allowed to go, but he would reach out to me and say, hey, Joe, like, this is going to happen. If you're available, if you want to come down, the door's open. Yeah. And I would, I wouldn't get a carload, but I would bring guys like Coven. I would bring Coven along with me, and sometimes JC, and we'd go to these seminars that weren't really open to the public. So Chris really took care of me in a lot of ways, man. Like, I didn't train under Chris or anything like that, but I've got nothing but good things to say. Yeah. Because he really took care of me, man. If it wasn't for those opportunities too, like, my mind wouldn't have been so open to what pro wrestling could really be.
I didn't know who he was either, because as we were getting to a certain point with Blockbuster Wrestling, I didn't know exactly who was to trust. Yeah. Dan was great. The guys that you brought me were great. And that was one guy that I was hoping to, like, man, this guy's... I wanted some type of, hey, you're doing good out there. Or, hey, you need to do this. Some type of mentorship, Yeah. And I always looked at what he was doing at that time. He was a great worker. We never got that far with him, but, you know, it was great just as a worker.
No, and it's been great to see how the school has grown.
Yeah.
Like, his school has grown so much, because I remember going to when it was just one ring. Mm-hmm. And then the next time I went to another seminar, 2. Then the next, there was 4.
Wow.
And, I don't know how many rings he has now.
He's got like 4 to 5 now, if I'm correct.
Yeah. So he's one of those guys, and especially in Texas, like, one guy that you can trust if you're a wrestler or a young wrestler that wants to train, like, honestly, like the hybrid school of wrestling is quite possibly the best place in Texas to go, just because of the pedigree and the proof is in the pudding, like they say.
So I guess I know where I'm going.
And I'll say that even if I was to open doors to train anybody, right? Like, I still think you can start training with someone who knows their basics, right? Who can teach you the basic stuff. But if you really want to make it, you have to expand and continue your training. Yeah. Back when I was wrestling, like, there wasn't a lot of schools to choose from. None, so we would get our reps in bookings, and that would mean a few bookings in the Rio Grande Valley, a few bookings in Laredo, a few bookings in Corpus, BBW, New Braunfels, San Antonio, and just the southern Texas area and getting those reps really taught you a lot. That's how you would grow.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to just help talent back in the day, man, as much as possible. And that's what was the whole reason for it, because I loved it so much that I wanted to bring as many good wrestlers here to have fun, but also I wanted to share that with my community, you know what I mean? For them to love wrestling too.
Dude, just driving down this street to get here
took
me back, like nostalgia, dude. Like, there was a time and point when I would come to New Braunfels without GPS, without a map, because I knew my way around. Yeah. And driving through here, I was like, holy cow! Like, I know these streets. It's a lot bigger than when we first started coming around. Yeah. I don't remember what year it was. Do you? Oh. 2012, 13, or something like that.
Let me go back, way back in the time.
So it would have been
yesterday. 7. Okay, so then from there, 3 would have been 10. And then, so this would have been 12 or 13 when I started BBW. Okay. Yeah, so then, you're right, about 14, 15.
That's when I started traveling too. And I think BBW was the first, I I guess the first place that I was going to consistently.
Yeah.
Before the LWA in Laredo, right?
Yeah.
And but those times are fun.
I appreciate that time, man, because that drive, I took that one drive to Cena Mania and to McAllen. And dude, I was like, at Edinburgh, I was like, dude, that's a freaking drive.
It is, man.
It's a
Pero
drive.
pues, when you're young and you're hungry, like you don't care, dude.
I
Like,
bet,
care.
bro, yeah.
the first time that we went to Blockbuster Wrestling, it was myself, JC Valentine, Coven, and Danny Ramones, who at the times was
just shared a
Cherry
video of
Popper.
him the other day.
He was known as Cherry Popper.
Oh my gosh.
Then he
that's
went
awesome.
that turned into Cherry Ramones, and now Danny Ramones. So
I love his
I think
character,
Danny
man.
Ramones is a lot easier on the.
Dude, JC looks great too, bro.
Yeah,
He
to this
still
day.
looks good, bro. Like
this day.
he moves good. He looks like he hasn't skipped a beat, bro. He hasn't
he's,
gained a fucking pound
No,
either.
dude, he's the same guy. He's the same guy.
He's like
And
Mr. 830.
He's a technical wizard too,
Yeah,
man.
he
Like
is.
unfortunately, he hasn't taken advantage of opportunities, man. He's one of those guys that really had it, but held himself back, and he knows this. And I'll say it to him all day long, and he knows it. But he works really hard whenever he's booked. He's happy where he's at, and I'm happy for him, and I'm happy to put him on a card anytime.
Hell yeah.
Anytime.
I would if and when I run again, that he'd be one of the guys I'd ask for him to come.
Do you run your own
I do
company
now.
as well?
I do now.
Really?
My wife and I, we run Fortuna Texas Wrestling. We started February of last year, so we
Wow.
just celebrated a year of
Congratulations,
creation.
man.
You know?
I was at the
Hell
very
yeah.
first one, bro.
Yeah.
That I went out there with Social Plug Medias and
Yeah.
made that video. Yeah, and that was one, dude. That
Okay.
was an awesome.
I remember you
show,
talking
bro.
about that.
Well, it
So
had
that's
been a
cool.
long time since there had been wrestling at Cena El Rey, like at least in a big capacity. And being that AEW was in town, I mean, I'd be stupid not to take advantage, right?
Oh
Like,
my gosh,
you know?
yes.
But we made it, and we made it big, and it was a big event, and we continue to do shows at Cena El Rey, right? So since then, we've just multiplied on the social media. We've been bringing down different talent, not just from Texas, but we've been bringing down talent from a lot of different areas. We had Janai Kai, who's an MLW wrestler. We had Jada Stone, who had just come back from Japan, and she was over in AAA as well. Brittany Brooks from Las Vegas, she came in and they had a killer three-way match.
Hell yeah.
And how could I forget Gringo Loco?
Gringo
dude.
Loco.
Gringo Loco working with one of our local kids from Rio Bravo.
Wow, see, that's
Brillante.
cool
Giving
shit.
that
I love when they do
opportunities,
that.
man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know,
love when they do that.
and those are things that what I notice now is in the Rio Grande Valley, there's a lot of promotions that run. And because of that, there's a lot of work you can say.
Yeah.
And I use the term work lightly because wrestling doesn't pay the bills. It's hard. And I'm not knocking on anybody. It's difficult.
It's
Like I've
hard,
been
man.
there. So being that there's so many promotions, there's a lot of people who are complacent, a lot of complacency. So what I figured is with Fortuna, what I can try to do is bring in some of the bigger names to work with these guys since they're not going out and finding these opportunities. I'm kind of opening the door for them. It's up to them if they want to walk through that door.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we're having a lot of fun. My wife and I, I don't
Y'all
want to
look like
say
you're having fun.
I don't want to say that we don't take it serious. We do. It's our baby, and like I mentioned, like no one can love our baby as
Yep,
much
as
as
much
we
as
do.
you do. That's right.
So we're having a lot of fun with it. And we're not there to compete because, like I said, there's a lot of promotions, and there may be some people that kind of wish bad on us, and
Yeah.
different stories.
You're the new guy. You're the new guy on the block.
And I get it, and
Yeah.
and it's not just that. There's some bad apples in town, right? And that happens everywhere. That exists everywhere.
everywhere.
It should always be community over competition.
Yes.
Because there's so many wrestling fans out there. You just want to keep them all coming. Even if you go same day, you got to just learn to understand that that's how business runs sometimes.
Exactly. And everybody's doing something different. You've got the kids over at New Breed who've got a weekly thing going on and they're doing great. You've got TWL who runs, from time to time, and they bring in big stars. They bring in those convention style events where people they have autograph signings and things like that. And then you have Fortuna, who isn't strictly wrestling, dude. Like the last couple of shows that we've run have been a 4-match card. And we do a 4-match card with a lot of in between, and we have fun with it. I feel like it's like an immersive experience for the audience because we have Q&A, we have gifts, we have trivia, we had a dating show on this last one. We had the Barbie Dollhouse Destruction event, and the first match was the brawl for DJ Barbie. 4 contestants, DJ Barbie's dead and center. They're fighting for her. Asks a few questions, and it leads into a match.
That's beautiful, bro. I love
Beautiful. I didn't know how it was going to play out, but my wife and I, we get these crazy ideas and we run with them.
It was like a 20-minute segment, or
It was about maybe 10.
10?
10-minute
Okay.
segment, Q&A, with the and dude, we got to bring in some great
That's
characters,
dope,
man.
man.
Let me at least put over we had JC Valentine, who you
Okay.
already put
Yeah,
over, right?
yeah.
And we had Josiah John. He's a student of Booker T's from
Really?
Rio. So
Okay.
we brought in Josiah from Houston.
Oh, yeah.
We had Tino Valentino, La Máquina del Amor. He's from Amarillo.
Okay.
He came down, and he's a student from the Black and Brave out there in Iowa. That's Seth Rollins' school.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
he
hell
came
yeah,
in,
man.
Tino Valentino. We had Don Fernando. Don Fernando from Corpus Christi came over, and he's from the Galvan School of Wrestling, and he just killed it too, man. All these guys on the mic, it was just tremendous. It was a lot of fun. The audience was having a lot of fun
I would
with
say
it.
you can be more open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you just more open, and then like.
And I
more-
will say that the booking that we do is very, very intentional.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is if we have a theme and your character, your personality fits the theme,
it, yeah.
chances are we're looking at you to come in. Like, we're going to reach out and book you. And we've done it with Viva El Rey. We did it with Anything for Salinas. We did it for Area 956.
Yeah, Area 956.
This last show, Barbie Dollhouse Destruction, and we're going to do it for the next one, Boys Will Be Boys.
These names are fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Bro. I freaking love it.
It's out of the box,
Yeah.
and I like to give credit to my wife for helping with all this stuff because she herself wasn't a wrestling fan.
She wasn't a wrestling fan?
She didn't grow
Gosh.
up a wrestling fan. And she met me and she knew I wrestled. She thought it was funny. She thought it was not silly. She thought it was cute. She thought it was cute.
I can just imagine like you coming out in just like full costume,
Bro,
man,
dude, I
and
was
then
taking
she's
it-
just laughing her ass off. And like, what is it for the first time?
I was taking
Like,
it serious
What
at
is
the time,
this?
too.
And you're just like in character, and she's just laughing. I could just picture that,
Bro,
man. Like,
all
it's-
my, I mean, through my
man.
run of BBW when I was when I was really working, I had somebody, right? So I didn't know that talking to somebody and telling them that I'm a wrestler, like, you know what I mean? So after the math, and as like I'm meeting chicks, I would tell them that I was a pro wrestler, and they're like either it was a look up and down or like a what?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? It's just very awkward to kind of talk about it sometimes. So where did you meet her at, bro?
Listen, like
What's her name? What's her name again,
Mel.
brother? Mel, that's right. Rich, Mel.
Melissa Riojas now.
Okay,
Riojas.
congrats,
So,
right?
thanks,
Heck
thanks.
yeah, brother.
No, dude, this is around 2019. And dude, at the time I was banged up. I was running hard and I was pretty banged up. My shoulder was killing me and I was trying to find a way out. But you know how it is when you're working and you're getting
Yeah.
opportunities, you don't want to stop.
Hell no. You wanna keep
Again,
going.
wrestling was not paying the bills, but it was getting to the point where it was helping with the bills. And I was so excited because things were moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
That's when my shoulder started feeling like shit. You know, I felt like, can I cuss? I'm sorry.
Yeah, fuck
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, you're
can
good.
leave
Say
it.
whatever the fuck you
Okay,
want, bro.
so my shoulder felt like fuck, you know. So I ended up finding, like, I was trying to find a way out, but at the same time didn't want to leave. Like, I was doing so well, I had different titles and
Yeah.
different promotions. Then I get on these dating apps, and I will say dating apps work because that's where I met my wife.
I'm gonna have to try
And
one now, bro.
We matched on Bumble. Now, Bumble was what she was using because it gives the girl pretty much the control. Like,
Yeah.
if she doesn't want to talk to you after thinking about it, like you guys match, she doesn't have to.
Swipe.
Yeah, she
On to the
unswipe,
next.
you know. And no, we met there, and we would chat back and forth. And I never made the move. I never asked her out. And this is already like a week in. And she asked me one day, she's just like, hey, so are you ever going to ask me out? And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, well, yeah. She's like, well, why haven't you? Like, are you not interested? I was like, no, don't worry. Like, dude, the truth was I was broke. I didn't know what,
You
to,
didn't know
do.
what to do.
Where was I
Yeah.
going to take her? You know, she's a mother of two. And I'm over here like broke and got a kiddo as well. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know what to do. So I invited her over to my place, made some food and everything. We watched, what's that movie? We did watch the movie. What was it?
We did watch the movie. I like how
Netflix
I like how
and
you put that in there, bro. Yeah, I
Well,
watched
it's one of those sequels to Unbreakable. One of those sequels. It was my bad. No, it might have been. It was John Wick. It wasn't even Unbreakable.
John Wick.
It was
John
John Wick. So we saw John Wick and we saw the whole thing. And she told me afterwards, she's like, "Hey, like, are we good?" And I was like, "Yeah." I held her hand, and it was a slow process.
Yeah,
right? That
yeah.
was
You're being a gentleman, bro.
Exactly.
You're being a gentleman.
Dude, and I was intimidated. I had this gorgeous woman in my living room watching the movie, and she was interested in me. I didn't understand it. But no,
and that's weird, right? Because you're this guy that goes out and wrestles in front of hundreds, if not thousands of people, and you're freaking just nervous sitting next to this.
Dude, I was a nervous wreck. Like, I liked her a lot, right? And I thought she was gorgeous, and we just connected. And from then on, like, we had this bond, man. And we met through Bumble. To answer the original question, we met on Bumble.
So, dude, and so, bro, so again, thanks for inviting me out, man, and letting me stay underneath your roof as well I went out there, brother.
You did it for me so many times, man. Like all these times, like, we would come over and we would wrestle for this guy, and sometimes we didn't want to drive back, and he'd be like, "Hey, just chill here, man. Stay with us."
Hell yeah.
Then Lieutenant Dan would get us a room sometimes. You know, he was a legitimate manager.
Yeah.
Like, this guy took his role seriously.
I bet he still does. I love it. I love it.
To this day, he's the voice, Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant
you know, like
Dan.
he
stays. Stays.
Bro,
with
I love it, bro. When just meeting on them too back in the day, but going back to your wife as well. I remember showing up and she's making the bags. Mm-hmm. She's doing everything in the business, man. And that's freaking awesome because obviously it's support, bro. You know what I mean? And so how did you get her to turn in the rest? That's what I'm interested about. How'd you get her to really?
So, man, it took some time because, like I said, when I was a wrestler, she thought it was silly. She thought it was cute. Sorry, I didn't even finish that part of the story. Like, my shoulder was banged up. And when I met her, I thought to myself, maybe I can spend time with her, that could get me away from wrestling, right? And I didn't see it that way at first. Wrestling was my outlet. Wrestling was my escape from the real world. Yeah. And it wasn't until I met her that the real world became nice again, became good again. So I was able to step away from wrestling because I had her. Yeah. So, and like you said, the support means everything. At the time, she wasn't really supporting wrestling, and not that she was against it, but she was okay with me stepping away. And it wasn't until 2 years after that I wanted to come back, and I changed the name, started wrestling as Joe Haas. But doing that led to us being at the point where she told me, "Hey, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you're wrestling locally right now. Like, where's this gonna go? It takes time. It takes you away from home sometimes. Like, you forget to do things. Like, and I'm very much like that. And that's on my ADD is that I get so hyper fixated on things, especially wrestling. Yeah. And it takes me away from the real world. So it got to that point, and this is 2021. So I came back to wrestling. 2021. So it was like. I didn't last a very long time or anything wrestling after that. But I was gonna begin to wind it down, and that's when I got the call from AEW. Now, once my wife saw what AEW was and saw some of the local guys backstage and stuff like that, and she realized what it meant to us, the wrestlers, the workers, and what it could become, and how fun it could be, and what it could all lead to. Is when she started thinking, like, okay, there's more to this than just men in tights playing around and, like rolling around on the mat.
That was one of my questions that I had for you after you're done.
No, and that's really what turned her was like once she saw what the dream was, what this dream that everyone's so delusional about, once she saw what it was and what it could be and me being there, she's like, okay, this is possible for them too. Yeah. And so she fell in love with that, the process, and how we can create an outlet, a platform, or just a way for somebody to try something new in wrestling where new is not always so original. Like, now you have a place to try that.
Yeah. So, like, how JRock had his, BBW and everything like that, with you being a part of that, with Keith Lee and, all the other ones that are, I don't even know if they're still active. I think...
They're active.
They're still active, on the roster. But just seeing like everything comes full circle. Yeah, dude. And it's like, man, dude, you remember like we were just in this, and then even like with JRock, he's like, man, dude, like sometimes I still talk to them and like it's crazy, man, how like they're doing it and they go to different promotions and then now they're in a bigger promotion and they're there together. Yeah, where it started from, and it's like it's crazy to see.
Yeah, like, what was also crazy, bro, is when I went and saw them at the AEW at the Freeman Coliseum in San Antonio, Keith Lee and Brian Cage fought each other on that card. Yeah. And I
That was at a
like,
collision, right?
I don't know if they had Collision at that time. I think it was just AEW. I don't know.
Might have been Rampage.
Yeah,
also.
Rampage or
Oh,
something.
okay,
yeah.
yeah.
And that was the first time I'd seen them work together, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like to see these guys that I had on my card on my show. Now they're here working on the
And that's what I was telling him when we were there. I was like, bro, that's awesome. Like, because I met JRock, just wrestling. Wrestling was our thing that connected us. We didn't know each other. Like, I moved
He would
to
see me
Braunfels.
at shows and
Yeah,
stuff.
and I'd be
Like,
like, man, dude, like,
Yeah.
you're from New Braunfels and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And so that's how we became, friends and stuff. And that's what brought us together was wrestling. And so he would always tell me about, BBW, and he ran a promotion. He did this. Man, I had this wrestler, like, future, like, world champions and this and that. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking awesome.
Dude, yeah. And it's funny because like I was there during the early days of BBW. How long were you running when I came in?
When you came in, I had been running for maybe about a year, about a year and 3 months. I hadn't even hit like a year and a half yet. And we were doing nothing. When I first started, brother, we were doing backyards. And then when we got in the bars, Facebook started popping, and then that's when I found. It was when we met.
We met at the. Can I tell the story?
Yeah, tell the story. I love it. Oh, yeah.
So
tell
when I met JRock, we met at a family reunion. Like we met at of all places.
Of all places.
We're not related though.
We're not related.
We're not related. I wish we were. But
we look alike.
We're like brothers, man.
Yeah. So
we have the same mustache and beard right now.
Yeah. Was that in 2012? Might have been 2011, like the tail end of 2011.
Yeah, so I always have to go back to how old I was. Okay, so that was, 2012. Yeah, 2012, 2011.
Something like
maybe even a little bit soon, like 2013 maybe.
Okay.
Somewhere around there,
Something like that. But I remember I show up to this family reunion and I didn't want to go. Like I didn't want to do this thing, but at the time I went and we were meeting my grandma's side of the family, right? So they tell me like, hey, your cousin's here from New Braunfels and she's dating a wrestler. And imagine like if he knows that you're a wrestler too. She's like, but then there's another tia of mine, right? And she's like, but he doesn't do the same wrestling as you. His is real. And as a wrestler, to hear that, it's like, what
the fuck does that mean?
What do you mean by his is real? So I started thinking maybe she means it's MMA. So I started naming these different types of martial arts, right? Is it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? Is it MMA? Is it cage fighting? And she's like, no, it's real. Like they use chairs, they use baseball bats, they use barbed wire. Yeah, and she's like, so it's real, and they have blood and this. And I was like, and I'll be honest, I was like, oh, you're talking about backyard wrestling. Like I didn't know what to expect.
That's the fakest shit out
Dude,
there.
that's two different worlds. You're talking about, I'm comparing MMA and backyard wrestling. There's no in between, right? So eventually, like they tell me, yeah, they'll be back. I don't remember where you had gone to.
I think we did this like walk around the property, and then we went on this like back of a truck. I don't remember exactly when we went, but yeah.
But it was a big old ranch, and the whole family was there, right?
Ranch.
So there was always something to do. But yeah, I remember like just in anticipation, waiting to meet this other wrestler. Like,
right.
And then I meet him, and it's Justin,
gosh.
right? It's JRock, and he starts telling me how he runs in New Braunfels, and it's pro wrestling. It's not backyard wrestling. It's not MMA. And we started talking, and I think we talked about booking me for that December.
Yeah,
this might have been around November. We had booked my
Because you were already wrestling yourself.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean, to me, like that, I thought that was like what are the odds that you go to a family like wrestling, this niche thing, and then you show up to this family reunion, and it's not even a relative; it's your relative is dating a wrestler, and he's here too. Like, oh shit! Like I'm already looking around. Like, where is he? Can I spot him? Can I point him out? Because I know everybody here.
Hold on. So what do you?
Because with me, like,
I think I know where he's going.
Hold on, what are you looking for? Like, you're like, this guy's got to be like 6 fucking 4.
300
jacked.
pounds.
He's jacked.
to the gills, like maybe a goatee, like Stone Cold Steve Austin is what I'm thinking. Like either that, he's either going to be bald or he's got the long hair.
He's got the long hair,
right?
Oh, shit.
So I didn't know what to expect.
And then I walk in.
Then I get JRock.
This guy. This guy.
My bad, is it
No,
good?
it's all good, man. But no, because like for me, like I just saw wrestling on TV.
Yeah.
I never knew about, man, somebody could have this promotion going and this and that. And it's just like, it's crazy because like, even like when I was older, I never even knew about these smaller promotions, and people were like doing the indie scene and all this, because all I ever thought was it's on TV, and these are the only two companies in the whole entire world that there's no other wrestling besides this company and this company.
Yeah,
and that was it. And I never knew about anything else, because if I did, god dang, I would have been on it.
You have to be fully immersed to find all that shit. Because when I was a kid, my mom would call home sometimes and she'd be like, hey, I'm going to stop at the Blockbuster. You know, do you want anything? Not even Blockbuster. It was a local store, you know, mom and pop's rental shop.
Yeah.
And I'd say anything wrestling. And so she would bring me some old school WWF tapes, old school WCW tapes, and every now and then some old school UFC tapes. And I didn't quite like those because there were no characters, right? Like it was just
two guys are gonna fight,
and it was bare knuckled at the time, you know. So that sort of stuff I didn't like. But that's how I started learning about all these different wrestlers and how the characters changed and evolved throughout the years.
Yeah,
and that's how I became a huge fan. Like it started with my uncles, right? And this is like a question from way earlier, but it just continued after that. I just loved the performance.
Because we were doing Hurricane Rondos off the roof, you know, and we were doing this, and it was basically like we were doing our backyard wrestling. But it was
Were you from the era? Did you guys ever see those backyard wrestling tapes that they would sell, you know, late at night? It was like, it was either the Girl Gone Wild infomercials.
Right, yeah.
And then you'd have the backyard wrestling infomercials.
No, Mom, I never saw that, Mom. Mom and Dad, I was never awake at 3 a.m. when it came on.
Or that one commercial, pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone. But no, man. And so that's what I was saying. Like, and then like social media just takes everything off.
It wasn't even that though, bro. It was the internet. The internet had just came out. I'm learning about
and
ECW.
So you're recording and then you're posting online and stuff like that. So that's how but like I said, it's just, man, because I wasn't big, man, when I was growing up. I was skinny. I was jacked, bro. Like I worked out. That's all I did, you know? And man, I was like, fuck, dude.
You wish you would have found it?
I wish I would have found it, honestly, because the passion that I have for it is like, I think I could have put that effort into actually doing something with it rather than just sitting in a chair talking about it.
And how many times, Joe, have we seen that guy like, I think I can do this?
Yeah,
and then they get in the ring, and
I've seen people transition from MMA into pro wrestling, and not to say that all MMA fighters can't do pro wrestling, but this one dude couldn't. Great shape, 6'4", like we were talking about, like the perfect specimen for a wrestler.
What you thought I was going to be?
Yeah, what I thought I was going to find at the family reunion. And then I'm like, hey, where's the rest of you? No, but for real, like this guy was like, he looked like the complete package, but he couldn't even get past the forward rolls. And forward rolls are important. They're important. An intricate part of it. Because if you fall flat on your face, like you can get hurt. If you fall on your neck, on your head, learn to roll to protect yourself, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But this guy, he couldn't do it.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, come on.
Yeah, right. Careful there.
No, I know he's probably watching. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I think it's just really cool, man, to see how far you've come with all this as well, Joe. Like, you know, leading into from that indie scene and then getting to where you're at, man. It's a long story of a lot of ifs and when and you know are they going to happen? You know, some people could say that it's luck. I think that looking back now, like I think I always knew I would make it. Yeah,
I couldn't tell you how. I couldn't have imagined it would be through commentary, but I always knew like it was realistic to me. And I told my wife, like I was delusional. Like I believed in myself so much that it was embarrassing to tell people sometimes, because it's like you tell someone, hey, you see that TV? I'm going to be on that TV.
Yeah.
You see that show? I'm going to be on that show. It's hard to tell someone and for them to be like, I know you're right. You know, like I believe you too, you know? So I just never stopped
people
believing.
Like that, man. Like,
but it's because the thing is that you have to imagine yourself. You have to believe that it's real for it to actually happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Things don't happen by accident, man. Like I had a lot of opportunities that, lucky for me, like I was able to be ready for. And the more I was prepared, the more these opportunities presented themselves.
Yeah, and that was what we grew up with in the industry too. You always be ready. Like you go to a show and you're not booked, you still bring your shit. Like
no, y como te digo, like with even with Marvel, you know, opening up the doors to me, like if I wasn't a good person in the business, right, like that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Even some people who didn't have to be there for me, Marvel one, even like Rudy Boy Gonzalez, like I'll say that one time, you know, I know that he's burned a lot of bridges and has gotten canceled. He refuses to be canceled. Like, so he's still out there.
Something else, man.
Pero he was, I mean, what I can say is from my experience with him, he, I had to go for a Ring of Honor show in 2016. I didn't have the means to get to the airport in San Antonio where they were going to fly me from. So I took a bus, got into town around 3 a.m, and Rudy Boy was there to pick me up and take me to the airport. And from there, I flew out to Concord, North Carolina, and we had a Ring of Honor show there. This is 2016, my second opportunity with Ring of Honor. But if it wasn't for Rudy Boy doing that for me, I really didn't have another way to get there. It wasn't like Uber or even Lyft was a thing. And even if it was in 2016, like I was terrible at technology. Man. Like I didn't know how to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of good things have happened to me, and I feel like I've been ready for them when they did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what it's all about, man. And I think, like you said, in the wrestling industry, it's use. When is your time? Are you going to step up to the plate? You know, we're seeing that in all these other companies. You know, we're seeing. I love how Ring of Honor's now, you know, right behind you. I'm working with AEW now. You know, I love how there's talent that you can pull from instead of, you know, and also seeing these guys grow. See who's actually hitting that ROH, you know, fan base as well.
No, and that's a lot of fun too, man. Like I grew up on Ring of Honor. Like that's the stuff that I would study when I was a wrestler. Like I would go on there, and especially the older stuff.
The older stuff,
so
man. Yes.
to be able to say that I'm not only the voice of AEW along with my colleagues, but I am also the voice of Ring of Honor. And from my colleagues and I, like I'm the one voice that you could hear across all the shows. Yeah, I'm the one singular voice that you could hear across all the shows in
Ring
Spanish.
of Honor, AEW.
And that's Collision, that's Dynamite. That was Rampage at the time, even AEW Dark when we had that. Yeah. So I've been able to be a part of all that stuff, and it doesn't go. I don't forget where I come from. Like I know what wrestling meant to me growing up.
Oh yeah.
And I strive to be that to someone else. Like what Carlos Cabrera was for me, what Jim Ross was for me, is what I strive to be for someone else.
Oh yeah. How is it working? When you found out, hey, will you pass me the limes real quick?
Yeah.
How did you you grew up watching this guy, Carlos Cabrera, right? And we all did. But when did you find out you were going to work with him? And then how did you feel about that as well, brother?
So it was sometime mid last year, dude. And not so early in the year. There were some rumblings, but once it came to fruition, like, wow. I was so excited. I was looking forward to it because I just knew that he had so much to offer, especially to this day. And I tell him every now and then, and he blushes. But like I go back and I listen to his stuff because I still study. I'm still a student of what I'm doing. I'm still learning and growing. And he's one of those guys that I listen to. And what he and Hugo did for WWE in Espanol was tremendous. WWF transition to WWE and all that stuff. Like. They did great things.
So you speak in Spanish. Was that were you back then? Were you listening to it in Spanish, or were you? Yeah, you were. Okay.
So I knew when to tune in on Saturday mornings. Like they had it in Spanish, and I believe Sunday mornings, Saturday evenings, something like that.
Yeah.
But I would watch it on the local stations. So I would watch the WWE programming because WCW didn't quite. If they had Espanol, I don't remember
seeing it either. And I had a buddy ask me actually. He was like, "Hey, who you got on the podcast?" I was actually got my buddy, Joe coming on.
See.
And he goes, "Well, what does he do?" I said, "He works with AEW." And he goes, "Bro," and I told him you were, the Spanish worker, and he goes, "Bro, I was thinking about this the other day. WCW never catered to that Spanish. You couldn't hit the SAP button on that one.
No, not the way you could with WWF back then.
Yeah,
and dude, like I said, I would consume it. Like sometimes I didn't know what the schedule was. I was just lucky enough to be watching TV at that time, scrolling through the channels, and I would catch it in Spanish and I would watch it. Didn't bother me none. Like I knew what they were saying. And I was learning also names of moves in Spanish, which I thought was, I didn't think I would need it. But, of course, wrestling luchadores from Reynosa, from across the border, you need to know the language, too. And we also had a CMLL, and we had AAA, and we had those events across the border, too, that we would go to, my uncles and I. And, even those shows were a lot of fun.
Yeah,
because that was only on Saturdays, right? When they would replay it.
In Spanish. I think it was on Saturdays only.
It was on Saturdays only.
And I remember thinking one time when I was younger, I was in school, and I remember thinking like, oh, how cool we have wrestling on Mondays, and then I could tune into this on Tuesdays, and tune into this on Wednesdays, and every day there was something going on, whether it was Mexican wrestling, whether it was American wrestling, or if it was American wrestling in Spanish. Like I always had something to watch, and I would consume everything that I could.
Dude, and that's today. You have so many options, man.
Yeah, man.
From, of course, AEW, Ring of Honor, WWE, TNA, MLW, GCW, fuck it, New Japan. Yeah. There's so much, and these fans are watching it all, and I'm like, dude, I love that. I wish, I don't wish that I had that back then because I don't think I would have been able to keep up. So I'm glad that we had what we had because we were the ones that created. You got to watch on Monday at a certain amount of time. You got to watch Thursday Night Thunder. You got to watch, Friday Night SmackDown because there was no.
This was before TiVo. This was before. Yeah. Like, if you wanted to watch both at the same time, you needed to have 2 rooms with the TVs on. And
or even then they had a split screen back then. You could do like
even before then because we had Nitro at a certain time and then Raw at a certain time. So
oh man, it was tough.
I didn't quite believe that Nitro was over when it died out when Vince did the simulcast,
right?
And the following Monday, I tuned in and I couldn't believe that it wasn't on. Like I was like, no way.
Like it was just like a
way. It
like
was
a work,
unbelievable.
You know what I mean? Like it was a work.
They were showing the dogs or something like that. Right?
There was something else going on.
Yeah. You just felt like it worked because you're like, okay, like. I mean, now like the fourth wall is like, oh, maybe they're just merging, or like maybe they're just gonna put all these badass wrestlers together and just have one big old like, let's go here and just like cross company type deal.
Yeah, I mean that would have been
didn't fucking happen.
That would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been cool, right?
If only,
Yeah, it's crazy, man. What was it that Joe that back then in wrestling? Now that you're
sorry,
in
not fourth wall. Sorry, Forbidden Door. That's what I meant.
Oh,
Forbidden Door.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry.
What is wrestling now to you now, knowing that you're where you're at now? Like, because back then you're like, I'm working towards something, I'm trying to get there. Now you're where you're at now. How do you get better? Where do you see see yourself, climbing up anywhere in the industry?
I do, man. I do. The thing is, one thing that I learned from this job is when it comes to wrestling, when you start off, like, of course, a lot of people's dreams are to be actively wrestling, to be a professional wrestler. But I think the best thing you can do is come in with that mindset and do your best to be that pro wrestler, but also make yourself valuable in different aspects of the game because it takes so many people to make something good out of a professional wrestling show, an event. And if you can find yourself being of value in different ways, then you'll have a place in the industry. Yeah. You could be around what you love. I feel like I'm so grateful that I'm able to sit behind the desk and call the action. I've called some of the best matches in the world.
Because you're still a fan first.
I am.
And that's awesome, man.
And it's funny because my fandom has changed a little, though, and I'm a little disappointed in myself because I don't watch, I don't consume as much as I used to. Yeah. But I'm seeing it through different eyes. It's almost like before you take that first bump, you're a diehard fan, this and that, and then once you take that first bump and you go to watch wrestling again, now you're studying it. Now you're trying to learn. And now that I see what goes on behind the scenes and I'm part of making the magic happen, now my goal is to make the magic happen in these ways, like to be valuable on the commentary table. I'm not going to be the one bumping around for you, right? Like now I'm going to be on the mic trying to tell a story for you.
And you never know the value of a commentator until you see it live. Yeah. And you're like, damn, who am I listening to?
Yeah, what's going on?
It's crazy because you never know until you're live and there's no commentary. There's no commercials. There's, you're just like sitting there watching, live action, but there's no commentary.
But that's funny that you say that because we've done shows, and I think JRock, you've also experimented with live commentary at a show.
Remy.
Yeah, and although the commentary was great, the vibe isn't the same. Like you get the echo, and you're also like the audience chants what.
You did it live on the speakers.
Yeah,
live commentary.
So I used to let Remy and another guy named Christopher, and then sometimes Remy would just do it by himself, but
Remy was really good.
The reason why, he was. And the reason why I like that was because you only got to see our talent once a month, and there was no selling or telling a story of these guys other than at the show.
Got you.
So Remy would be like, oh, there's the American hero, or he would say something about Bandana Joe, right?
He was like a heel commentator.
But he made you look good still, even when he was talking shit about you.
Yeah, he wouldn't bury you.
He wouldn't bury you unless he didn't like you.
Yeah, unless he didn't like you.
Because you know Remy.
Yeah.
And he hangs out with Remy now.
Yeah.
And so that's what I loved about it. And even with me, he made the people like me more. Because he'd be like, oh my God, I hate this guy. He's the hometown hero. And he acts like that, And, so it was like, you wanted to get behind me, and he was very smart with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was the only reason I did live commentary, because he sold the characters with everybody. And dude, he would just, we would sit and talk about a lot of this stuff till like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
And over a lot of different things, greenage. And our brain took us to that creative mindset. And dude, I remember when we did the skit, many different skits with 361, and they beat the shit out of us. And if it wasn't for Rico and their brains together, man, oh my God, bro. They made so many great memories that I wish today I had these cameras to capture that shit so we could be sharing that today. It was crazy.
But I mean, that's part of the journey. That's part of the journey, and you can't be mad at it because
I don't even know where I was going with that. Sorry.
No. I mean, we were talking about the commentary because he was saying how on live shows you don't get that commentary, but at the same time you can't. It's not meant for a live environment.
Yeah, it is.
But at the same time, it's like once you have it at home, it's not as loud and as muffled and all this stuff.
It was crazy because Remy also left at a point where we didn't need him anymore to do that. He had already sold to the fan base that these are these guys, and now they got behind them. I remember having multiple kids that loved wrestling, and they were there every single show, man. And they knew us by name. They wanted our photos. Yeah. They made us feel like stars, bro.
Yeah, and awesome. The thing is, that's what I've learned too. Is you have to experiment. You have to try new things that may or may not work, but you have to at least try it, at least to see how far you can get.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't try, you'll never know.
But then at the same time, you got to keep the same talent for a couple of shows to build a story, to build, and that's where you say people burn bridges, tough. And because you have all these other promotions, you have other people fighting for this guy. Hey, come on this way, we'll give you whatever, and it's just dude, I need to build this fucking storyline with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why I appreciated Joe back in the day, because he was one that kept coming, and I told him. I remember having that conversation, bro, I'm going to put the belt on you, but I need you to keep coming. And I know that's hard to say.
Should have brought it.
I knew that. Actually, no. Rob King still has it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, and not that he's holding a hostage. I just haven't seen the guy. Yeah. But anyway, I remember having that conversation with Joe and telling him, hey, bro, if you're going to do this, if we're going to put the belt on you, I need you to keep coming.
Yeah.
And, dude, you know how hard that conversation was? Because I couldn't pay him as much.
No, and it's funny because at first, the first bookings that we were doing were absolutely free.
Yeah.
So we were making the drive,
Edinburgh for free, bro.
And we would pack my little four-door Ford Ranger with us 4 guys. My AC didn't work, so we would be riding. One way, it was hot as hell. And at the time we couldn't afford a hotel or anything like that. Yet we're over here wrestling for free, but also giving it our best because that's what we felt we
never
had
know
to
who's
do.
watching either.
Exactly. That's what we felt we had to do is to get out there. And my friends were a little smarter than me, and they're like, "Hey, bro, I can't make those drives anymore. Not for free." But I mean, no regrets. I can tell you now, I have 0 regrets from coming in for free, coming in for $20 whenever that's all that could have been afforded. That sort of thing. Times were tough, and you gave me the option, and I wanted to be there.
But you built the company, bro. You helped me build my company, and. Even today, actually, shout out to Kaylee. She sent me this picture the other day, and she goes, "Look, when you Google it shows Blockbuster Wrestling Champion."
Yeah.
And
nice.
But the big thing was, I did my absolute best to make it look like stars because y'all weren't from here, And so whenever y'all got here, the people didn't know y'all like they knew me and Irish Red and the Majestic King and Judas Rage and Mr. 830. They didn't know those guys. They knew us because we lived here. But whenever they saw a guy like you come in and the charisma that you had in the ring, it wasn't like you were one of us. And y'all changed the game for the rest of the guys. Because I was like, I don't want you on fucking basketball shorts. We're not doing this backyard bullshit. You better bring me a character or you're not getting on the card. And it turned into that.
I remember the first show we did for you. Like we did the tag match that we were taking around Texas, and it was myself and Coven again, the Renegades of Wrestling versus Apollo 69, which was JC Valentine and Cherry Pop.
I fucking love it, dude.
And I remember Scotty was recording the match. And as Scotty's recording, he's marking out for the stuff we're doing in there just because of how different it was. I can't go back and say it was great.
Yeah.
But compared to because the other matches were a lot more hard-hitting, a lot more brawling, right? And we were bringing a technical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Just stuff that we were learning as we went along because we didn't quite learn that at training. We were just learning as we went, just students of the game.
Every rep.
And I remember Scotty recording that and just you could hear him marking out on the camera, just like, oh, that's, and he was over here cheering and getting the crowd into it too.
That's
and
awesome.
But this was an opportunity for us to come out here and try something different that we couldn't do back home. Yeah. So, and we, you giving us that platform was exactly what we needed at the time.
Yeah, no, it was awesome, man. Those are memories, bro, that I'll always have.
Yeah, for sure.
Never forget because I know for sure that it was a big turning point for Blockbuster Wrestling,
Well, even for us, man, we felt like stars. We would come over, kids wanted pictures, autographs, and we had that with the fan base that we built out there. But to get that away from your home, like, geez, like to us,
exactly.
It's like
You're
we're
like,
making
oh my
it.
gosh,
yeah,
that's cool.
we're doing what we need to do. And I always had this dream, man. I always had this dream of forging a relationship with the Rio Grande Valley, which was Wrestling Revolution at the time, the LWA in Laredo, and Blockbuster Wrestling in New Braunfels, and like do some sort of talent exchange and all this stuff. But the cards weren't,
Yeah, we did a little bit of it.
A little bit. We flirted with it.
Even just as a wrestler, you were still in a production sense.
In a way, yeah.
In a way,
and
like
I didn't
giving
quite,
ideas like, hey, can we do this? Can we?
See, porque I didn't quite think it was that, right? Like I was just, my brain's going there. My gut tells me that this is what we should do, or at least try to
And I think
make
every
happen.
wrestler should have that, production mindset. Like, hey,
You should.
like push things. Like, I think this should be we should do this, or we should push this, or we should do this, and because one mind is not going to make this whole thing work,
I don't know if it was Cena or CM Punk that's kind of said it. You should know every part of it because that way when you're performing, you know where the camera's going to be. You know what the camera wants. You know when the camera's in your face. Dude. And I knew that early too because I wanted to be that. Not be that. I wanted the company to be that because I saw what WWE was. And of course, everybody wanted that, right?
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to be on that. But I think that's where, I try to change so many things. I try to make our show. I remember going from fucking backyard wrestling to family based, because that's what was selling at that time. You know, so it was tough. But you have to go with the times, and I think everybody should learn every part of the business from the camera.
Were you guys around the area? Were you guys fans around the era of Tough Enough when it first started?
Yeah.
So this is like I was in high school, I think. I don't think I was in middle school. I was in high school, I think.
And my buddy Noel, dude, he was this big old jack dude. Like, he's probably like 6'2", and he was like a good 320. And we played volleyball, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing out here? You need to be on Tough Enough. So, dude, I still call him Tough Enough to this day. I'm like, what's up, Tough Enough? Because he had the big old ponytail, dude, and he
looked
just
like
like a fucking wrestler.
I'm telling you, that's what wrestlers look like.
I met this.
Not like this. Not like this.
I met this guy out at volleyball, and he was cool as shit. And I'm like, bro, that's when Tough Enough was on. I was like, dude, do you wrestle? And he's like, no, but I love wrestling. And I was like, dude, you should go on fucking Tough Enough, man. When I saw you, because we would drink after volleyball in the parking lot. We would just all conversate. And so that's how I met a lot of people that I know now. But I mean, that's funny that you say that because I still call him what's up, Tough Enough?
That was a huge mark for the first one, man. The very first one, I thought, man, if only I was older, if only I had a way to communicate, out there. I didn't know how to who to send a letter to. Back then, it wasn't like I didn't have a computer to send an email, that sort of thing. No smartphone. But I would watch Tough Enough, and I would teach myself, you can say, the way that they were learning. Like, they would take bumps. I would do it on the carpet. Like, I would sit at the edge of my bed.
I was going to say the bed, but goodness.
I would sit I would sit at the edge of the bed so I could fall off the bed onto the carpet and practice those slapping the mat and all that stuff. So I think that helped me, like having that drive of wanting to be a wrestler, not knowing about any schools or anything like that, watching it on Tough Enough. They say don't try this at home. Yeah. I tried it at home.
I broke a bed doing the frog splash, dude.
Me, I'm dead serious. We did our fair share of breaking too.
I had the headboard on there, dude, one time. Boom, fucking badass frog splash, dude. Full extension, RVD style, Jesus. Eddie Guerrero, dude.
No, my goodness. That's the shit that got me ready. Like, so when I first started training, like I was more of a natural because of that.
Yeah.
So that really helped me out. And I think you have to have that drive, that delusion of I can make it. Like I'm
gonna be the best.
Exactly. Like, or at least give it my best.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
And that was crazy because like Cody Rhodes had a vignette the other day, but it was just like a backstage on TikTok or something like that.
Yeah.
And he was like, when I was in AEW, a lot of people would come up to me and would tell me they didn't want to be the champion. And he was like, I was like, oh, okay. He was like, I just told him something like, oh, okay. He was like, but then they walked off and he's like, what the fuck are you doing here? Yeah. Like, what are you doing here? If you're in the business, you want to be the best. You should strive to be world champion. You should strive to be the best that you can, not just here for a paycheck. Because then you're taking opportunities away from somebody else.
Yeah.
That's their dream of being world champion. And he said that, dude. I was like, oh my gosh, like who? If you're in the business, every day you have a makeshift belt, or you have a belt, and you're like, I'm fucking champ.
There's different ways to look at that because some people can say, well, this person doesn't believe in themselves, or somebody might say, this person just wants to come off as humble and like, hey, I'm not here to take anyone's job. Like, I'm just happy to be here type of thing. But you have to be driven. You have to have that motivation because I had a conversation with a friend of mine about Fortuna, and I told him, like, listen, like, I want you to want to be here because if I have you, bless you,
thank you,
two times.
If I have you on here and you're not motivated, then what are you doing if you're not giving me your best? Like, I need you at your best. I want people that want to be here. I want people that want this to grow. It goes back to saying, like, this is my baby, and I know you're not going to love it as much as I do, but at least try.
Because if you're going to have somebody put a half-ass match on, then that looks bad on you.
Exactly.
Like, who is this guy hiring? Well, he doesn't take this serious.
Yeah.
So when you get somebody like that, then you take it personally.
And
it's like, hey, it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah, and reliability goes a long way, and that's including with friends. And I've let those that needed to hear it know that if you're not reliable, you may be my bud and everything, but that doesn't mean that you're going to come in.
You're turning this into a business now. And even, hey, man, a shout out to my brother, Majestic King, bro. Like, he was a badass wrestler, too.
Yeah, dude.
He was a bit hardcore wrestler, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when he couldn't get the job done, I'd be like, bro, I told him he couldn't fucking wrestle.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
I had no
that's
problem
not easy.
saying that.
That's
it's not easy to do.
But you have to have those conversations, man.
Yeah. And dude, there were so many guys back in the day that didn't take the industry as serious as they do today. Like, the way I see indie today, man, I wish we had those guys, bro.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they're moving and working out and really putting the work in to be a worker today, like... And I'm not saying it's easy to be a worker, but there's so many more opportunities today.
Social media is the biggest one because once you put, everybody gets famous on TikTok for 15 seconds.
Yeah.
They put a skit out. They do this. They do that. Oh my gosh, he's fucking hilarious. Or he's a good wrestler. Or he cuts good promos and this and that. And it's just like okay, boom, we want him. We want him. We want her. We want him. We want and it's
you want to see them somewhere.
Yeah.
Like right now, I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm so entertained by these canes.
Right.
The game.
Cocaine
and blue cane.
I'll put it out into the world to see if someone can make it happen, because I know we're probably not at Fortuna, but a female wrestler needs to come out as Candy Cane, and come out with the red and white stripes. You know?
There's a guy candy cane.
There you go. So
is
put
there?
a mask
Yeah,
on
there's a guy
Candy.
candy cane.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I think
Sweet.
it came out like wrestling time Christmas time. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I hadn't seen it, so I was like, if nobody's done it, they got to.
There's
You
a
gotta
candy
do it.
cane. So, but no, man, it's just. But that's all. That's what it is now, man. Social media. You get somebody that does a 520. I don't even know if that's a thing off the top rope. They're like, oh shit, this guy's illegal as fuck. One move on TikTok can make. Hey, dude, we need to try this guy out. You know, what else can he do?
Yeah.
What else is he capable of doing? So it's just like, dang, dude, like you get somebody that's got a fucking
But I'll
Bradshaw
tell you what, man, like,
clothesline. It's like
a lot
he's strong.
of a lot of these wrestling schools, or a lot of the wrestlers themselves, like there's no like blueprint on how to do this as far as like doing it right, because it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
But I remember going to a seminar, and both Danny Cage from Monster Factory, and Stokely Hathaway were at that seminar, and they both emphasize on the importance of social media and using it right.
Yeah.
A lot of people use social media for their personal stuff, but social media is a business tool, man. Like social media, if you're a wrestler, you're the business.
Yep.
You are
You're
the
your
business.
own, yeah.
So so you got to use social media to your advantage, and if that means like not following a friend, or not giving him the follow back, or not tagging him, or that sort of shit, like
They
people's
notice
feelings
that.
people's
Yeah.
feelings get hurt, man.
They do,
And
yeah.
it happened to me recently too. Like I untagged somebody from photos from a year ago because this person made a bad business call, took money from us, and I decided, you know what, I don't want
No
my stuff.
affiliation.
Yeah, no
Associated,
affiliation.
yeah.
And okay, my bad for not removing the tag last year, but shame on you for not removing yourself after you took money from us, you son of a gun. you know?
Because Facebook has memories.
Exactly. man.
And so you're like, oh shit, I'm still tagged in that? Untag everything.
I thought it'd be stupid of
Why
me
not?
to like stay connected to this guy after
Yeah.
he did this shit. No, I'm sorry. Untag. And of course, as people do, he goes to social media to let the world know, and that's fine. That's okay.
Wow.
That's
Put-
okay.
putting
If you're
his own
gonna
foot in his mouth.
if you're gonna get bent out of shape if that's the worst thing you can say is he untagged me from photos, then I'm doing something right.
Yeah, right? Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think the industry sometimes, I always treat it as best as I can. Very respectful to everybody. But you can't, like you said, it's your baby. Sometimes these guys aren't going to willing to work as much. But the social media part today, I love it. Like, I love how both companies, big main companies right now, are doing great with these guys being on social media, showing a little bit more of their character, but also still keeping it.
Well, it's in a way it's untapped territory, man, because it's still so new.
Still new and fresh.
But
Yes, very.
one of the things that I thought was fantastic was that when we showed up for that seminar with Danny Cage, he asked everybody to pull their phones out and take a photo of him while he's talking to them. Now, share that photo, tag me, tag my school, use my hashtag, and and put something, if you want. You don't have to, but do this right now.
That's so cool. That's
So
actually smart.
everybody, we all did that.
Wow.
So now everybody that follows us, that's interested in what we're doing, they see what we're doing, they see what Danny Cage is doing, and if they want to follow, they will, and that grows your social media, which is very, very valuable. So that was something that I took away for sure from that seminar. And Stokely Hathaway was the one that was telling us the importance of this is your business, like this social media.
Yeah, your name is your business, in a sense. Like, you're basically like independent contractor.
Yeah.
Within this bigger company that you're hired from.
100%.
But you're still independent contractor, because you go somewhere else, you're gonna have a different name, you're gonna have a different character, but that's still your job.
And it's easy
You're
to
your
say.
own boss.
It's easy to say don't post, personal stuff because we're so accustomed to that now.
Yeah.
Growing up as a fan, you're not in the business, so you're posting personal stuff as you go. Once you transition into, this is your job, it's difficult to separate that. Some people do it well, but I know I still post personal stuff, and I try to have that balance, but it's not easy because you want the world to know, especially when you have little victories, little personal victories.
Oh, man,
you want to
yes.
set that out, put that into the world,
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. I'm actually pulling up some Fortuna stuff real quick, if that's okay, man.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I want to share this real quick because I know I'm being a bad producer right now. I'm not gonna lie. I thought I had this downloaded, but I didn't, and so I'm trying to try my best to pull this up. So right here, this video. I was out there in your area again, McAllen, right? We were at McAllen here, And it was pretty awesome. This is a video of you and your lady here.
And my wife.
Yeah, you and your wife there. Yeah, heck yeah. So that was awesome. That kind of little video there, man. I mean, how did that feel, brother, to kind of...
Look at that production.
Your first
dude,
event,
that is
bro.
awesome, man.
They had it going, bro. It's pretty awesome.
Gosh.
It was unreal, dude, because...
Puro pinche 956.
Una vez más, regreso aquí en McAllen. Estoy muy emocionada. Gracias por venir a Cinemanía.
Introducing first, from Edinburgh, Texas, J.C. Valentine. Introducing next, from Oregon, Coahuila, Mexico, Gravity. From the graveyards of Tijuana, Mexico, La Mera Mera Thunder Rosa.
the venue itself, the historic Cine El Rey, has a lot of history. We used to wrestle there every Friday. That's where I started up, man. I was there at the very first. I main evented the very first Wrestling Revolution show at Cine El Rey, and since then, this is back in 2011 or 12, dude. Like my memory's terrible.
Yeah, mine's horrible too, bro. Don't tell me about dates.
But to be able to go back, and like I said, it had been a couple of years since they had wrestling, and COVID took a big toll on that, and we were able to bring in something really, really good. It felt unreal because I didn't know it was possible. And at the time, the owner of Cine El Rey wasn't really allowing anyone else to run wrestling shows. And for the whole year, it was just Fortuna at that venue. Now we have someone else running shows, which goes back to what I was saying earlier about someone taking money and all that shit. So now so-and-so is running at our venue. I call it our venue because of the history that I have there, man. And that place has a special place in my heart.
Put in some work out there too, man. Like, just
I wanted to go so bad that day with him, and I had a gig that day. He's like, bro, you need to come. He's like, this and that, and I think you had went to the AEW show down there.
Yeah, that's where I literally got to see
stayed at
Joe.
my place.
Yeah, I stayed at his spot.
And took all these pictures. I'm like, bro, you're right there with Tony Khan. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, he's like, bro, I told you should have came. I was like, dude, like, I understand that.
The fun part about that event was over down in the Rio Grande Valley, we have this thing that like a battle cry you can say. And it's Puro 956.
Puro 956.
I remember
oh
before,
my gosh, dude, yes.
Before every show, Tony Khan comes out and he talks to the crowd. And for this special occasion, I asked him, can you, if you want to get over with the crowd, you've got to say Puro 956. He's like, how do I say it? I was like, Puro 956. It's our battle cry. And he's like, what does it mean? I was like, it's like kind of like saying, let's go 956. Yeah. So he comes out and he does his speech and everyone's listening. Then he's like, and before I go, Puro 956. The place, everybody went
crazy, bro.
It was nuts. It was fun. So fun.
So my question with that too, like, I know they cater to the wrestlers and they go to their hometowns and they go to where these people are from. Was that kind of like your type doing?
No,
like they knew you were from there, or because I know Thunder Rosa was a part of that as well.
For sure, because Thunder Rosa from San Antonio. Like I think they were looking at different areas to visit in the South Texas area.
Dude, they love Texas,
and that was the first time that they had pro wrestling on TV in the Rio Grande Valley since one of the last Nitros at South Padre Island in 2001.
Wow,
yeah.
So it had been almost.
I think that was a pay-per-view that they had there. I think it was like a bash at the beach or some shit like that.
So that was the last time they had wrestling on TV. So until AEW came in for Collision.
Yeah.
And it wasn't catered for me. I mean, to be honest, like I'm just one piece of this giant puzzle. But I think they know that the competitor runs in that town. They don't do TV, so we figured let's try something different. Maybe this will work. And it was a near sellout.
Bro.
It was a near sellout.
It was awesome. I got to walk around on the floor a little bit, have some fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share another video, two more videos of your Fortuna, man, dude. Here.
Let's go.
So again, we were able to go in there. We were able to go in there and get some videos. So this was pretty cool. I'm trying not to put too much audio in there because
dude, and everything that you see there, minus the ring and the chairs, like the pretty stuff. My wife has a hand in these signs, and she's very hands-on. Like even Justin mentioned how at the house she was putting things together. Having her as part of Fortuna, she's the heart and soul.
There he is.
It wouldn't be the same. There he is, JC Valentine.
JC Valentine, man.
One of the best.
Heck yeah, bro. He's
You
awesome.
see Brandon Martinez, referee from AEW in the ring.
Heck
he was nice enough to be part of Cinemania.
Cinemania. I saying that bad. See, bro, it's how bad my fucking.
He's like Cinemania.
Oh, don't worry, man. The commentary on that show was calling it Cinemania
as well.
Our announcer Jeremy también. No heat on Jeremy, right? It's just Cinemania.
Cinemania.
See, I butchered the shit out of that.
And the name of the show, I wanted to give back to Cine El Rey because Cine El Rey means so much to me, and I thought, why not run a wrestling show in honor of Cine El Rey? And that's what we kind of did with another show that we had called Viva El Rey, in honor of Cine El Rey. And I just wanted to give back to the venue that gave so much to me, and by proxy gave so much to a lot of the fans that have come back to wrestling, who have asked me if I'm going to come back to the ring and things like that. People that saw me in there, making memories.
You'll never know, right?
You'll never know. No, I'm actually, I booked myself for the next Fortuna show.
You did?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we run with themes, right? So this next theme, at least the theme for the match, it's we're gonna have a Renegade reunion.
Yes.
So the Renegades of Wrestling
Renegades
are coming
of Wrestling. I love it. Hell yeah.
Now,
is Danny involved?
No. Wait, you mean Lieutenant Dan?
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan is going to be there, Vato. Yes, sir.
Sorry, he's Dan.
Yeah.
He's Dan.
I thought Ramon's. I was like, no, unfortunately. But no,
Okay.
Lieutenant Dan's going to be there.
Hell yeah.
It can't happen without Lieutenant Dan.
That's right. That's fucking
and,
awesome. That's awesome. That's great news.
And
Is JRock gonna be there?
Is JRock going to be there? Sunday, April 13th at the historic Cine El Rey.
I might. When was it again?
It's at the historic Cine El Rey on Sunday, April 13th.
April 13th.
Yeah. We got some time. We got some time.
Yeah, I think I can do. Can you go? That's the real
That's the question.
You gonna text the wifey right now and be like April 13th?
No, I just gotta see if I'm booked or not.
Oh, if you're booked.
April 13th?
Yeah,
a
April
Sunday.
13th. That's a Sunday.
Let's go.
I'm down, bro.
Let's
down.
go.
I'm down for
Hey,
it.
No,
dude,
and
go
it's going to
ahead.
be a lot of fun. We have this idea. It's
gotta
going to
go
be
now.
like a boy band reunion. Is what the theme is. This last show was Barbie Dollhouse Destruction, and we had a whole Barbie theme going on. Man, the Moon Daddies really killed it on that show. The Moon Daddies were representing the Kens. If you haven't seen the Barbie movie, then maybe it's a little out of context, but they were representing the men and the patriarchy, while the women that we booked had never teamed up before. I'm talking about Hilda La Muñeca and Zamaya from Phoenix, Arizona. So we brought them in as Team Weird Barbie, right? So it was the Weird Barbies versus the Kens, and the Weird Barbies got the win. But man, the Moon Daddies had just the best intro and just such a great
It's like
outro.
intergender match?
It was an intergender tag team
Wow,
match.
that's awesome.
Have you seen one of those matches? before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they kill it, bro.
No, dude, and they this was a tremendous show,
kill
man.
it,
Like
yeah.
people just loved it, and it was so entertaining. We did an outro for the Moon Daddies since they lost. Now there's a lot of questions like, are they going to stay a team or not? And Danny Galvan, man, Danny Ishmael, he just moved to Las Vegas, but he's still committing to Fortuna
Hell
shows and
yeah,
coming
that's
down.
badass,
And
man.
we're treating him good, man. He's one of the best. He's one of those recurring characters that we have in Fortuna, Texas Wrestling. And he did this whole bit, dude, like with the song "I'm Just Ken," where he's doubting himself, right? And the rest of the male wrestlers on the card come out in unison, just like in the Barbie movie, and they come out clapping to the song, right? And they meet him at the edge of the ring, and Danny just, trust falls onto these Kens who guide him to the stage while he does his exit. It was such a beautiful moment, very
awesome,
sentimental
man.
too.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I'm about, man.
so
Like I'm not
cool.
trying to run a wrestling show where it's a blood feud with
Death
I'm not
matches,
trying to
like,
kill
yeah.
you. Maybe we'll have a death match, but I'm not trying to kill you.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm,
Not every
I'm so
week,
much
you know,
about
like,
the I'm so much about the feelings, the emotion.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna fight you, it's because you hurt my feelings, dude, and this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. You know, and people can relate to that. I think
Yeah.
the people, it resonates with people.
That's awesome.
And that's what I'm
So-
saying. You got to build the storyline, so you got
Yeah.
to keep the people coming back, and
Yeah.
that's awesome. And that just goes back to like what you do.
Yeah.
You're good to these people.
Tell
They're
the
going to
story.
keep coming back, man.
And
That's
and we don't always book recurring people. We have talent. I'd say maybe Mooncat Franco is the only guy who's been on all of our shows. We've had even our champion, James Blackheart. He has the La Corona del Sur. He has a crown.
But
We
if
don't
you
have
had-
a-
but
Where
if you-
is James from, by the way?
He's from, I believe, Alamo, Texas, which is
Okay.
right there in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah, I've been wanting him on the podcast. I want to know about that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Dude,
he's-
when I went out and saw him during your show, he's a great talent, bro.
He's a great guy. He's been on Ring of Honor. He's done his
Okay.
AEW extra talent work as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And he's still trying to find his footing in the indie scene right now.
He's got the look.
He
He's
definitely
got it.
does.
Yeah.
And he's got our crown. He's the champ, and he's going to be on the opposite team on that Renegade reunion tour.
Okay, nice.
So I'm gonna get to be in the ring with him. I think it's a good idea for me to get in the ring with him. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while, and I think he's gonna get a lot out of it. I'm hoping that he comes out better than when he comes in.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hoping for.
Well, if you need somebody to hold a tennis racket, hold a towel, a water bottle, a megaphone. Where else am I going? A chair. I'm your guy until I get back in the ring. So I can hold anything you need me to on the outskirts.
Hell yeah.
I'll be your guy.
It's really fun, man. We book these themes, right? And the way I like to look at it is it's walking through the Fortunaverse. It's different. It's like what would your character be if it lived in Barbie Land? So now we have the Barbie show. Now, what would your character be if it was part of a boy band? And that's where the Renegade Reunion Tour comes into play. And we did the same thing with the Anything for Salinas, where we booked it intentionally. Like a lot of people there was a lot of Hispanics on the card, and it was people who understood the culture or what Selena meant to a lot of us Mexican Americans.
Yeah. I think it's awesome, man, what you are doing out there, brother. And I wish I lived closer so I can go all the damn time, man, because y'all put on some great stuff, bro.
Thank you.
And I want to share, I just pulled this video off too, man. I know you bring in some great talent, and you can tell me who these guys are right off the back, I'm sure. But even with this type of stuff, man, I think it's really cool. Oh, let me pull it one more time. Come on, where you at? And like you had some AEW talent there, huh? Not too long ago.
Man.
Either,
yeah,
right?
we've
pull this in right
booked,
now. Here we go.
We had Hayam versus Abaddon. Yeah, that's the first match on Cinemania. Commander, Gravity, JC Valentine, and Príncipe Celestial. And that was the first show. And like I said, I'd be stupid if I didn't take advantage of AEW being in town and AEW allowing these wrestlers to perform. Don't get me wrong, we still had to follow protocol and ask permission and make sure it was okay.
That was my next question.
I'm so grateful that we were allowed to use them, because the people, not everybody went to the AEW show, right? Yeah. And if they did, they didn't see the action up close and personal like they did at Cine El Rey. And Fortuna allowed them to get that experience.
I think that was always the biggest thing we were able to do for people back then. It was like, you watch it on TV, and like as he said that earlier, but to see it in front of you is 10 times different, way more exciting, and you feel the wrath of the ring, of the crowd. You know you're more intact. But I love how you're changing up the entertainment aspect of it, bro. Because
thank you.
I tried to be a lot like WWE back then. And you're trying to be somebody completely different.
Well, I'm trying to think what would. There's a lot of things that go on in my brain, dude. And I don't want to let everything out, because that's I feel like there's a lot of value, right? Like there's a lot of value in what we're trying to do. So it's almost like a magician not giving away his tricks. I've talked to friends and they tell me, "Oh man, I never thought about it that way," and I know that I'm not creating something new per se. I'm just adding to what's already been done before, and I'm trying to make it unique to me.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody. I know that there's been some people who say, "Oh, well, we didn't quite like that portion of the show," but the majority, dude, it's what the majority like, and they just love they appreciate how different it is. Nobody has left with a bad experience. I'll say
that's good, man. Yeah, and that's good. It's good to change it up, because now you want change. You want different, not change. You want different all the way around.
Definitely different.
Yeah. And I like what you are doing out there, man. So keep it up.
Thank you, man.
I'm excited. We're gonna have to come out. I'm gonna get him fucking committed to do it. He stepped out, by the way. He's in trouble. It's past his bedtime. No, I'm joking. No, Izzy's great, man. But bro, this has been a crazy journey to see from this side for you, and I can't even imagine how it is living it. But dude, you made it, bro, and you're there, and that's all I ever wanted for all of our talent.
Was you opened up the doors in a lot of ways too, man. You gave me the opportunity for me to be creative and to release that creativity. You got me in the ring with Brian Cage, man.
Oh yeah, man.
You trusted me to be the face of the place. When I was your champion, and you challenged me to make these guys better every time I was in the ring with them. And, you know, I tried my best. I did my best, and I'm grateful for you giving me those opportunities. And I sit here and I look around. I see the backdrops. I see the chairs. I see the mics, these wires. I see the cameras, the lights, the TVs.
Oh, yeah.
The office, this whole thing, this whole studio. Like, look at you, man. Like, you've come a long way. Like, no, you're no longer the guy behind the you know, the ring setup and the guy who's like sweating because no one else is pushing as hard as you know?
Yeah. Dude, I miss all that though, bro. Like, I mean, you know, right now I've been really working towards about 2 months now, getting in the gym, testing my body back out.
Go.
And we'll see how things go. I know for sure the future does hold a wrestling show soon in New Braunfels and in the area. But how, when, and with who, we don't know yet. And I think that's something that's going to get answered hopefully soon over time. You know?
You used to always pack the house, man. I'll say that. Like, you used to pack the house. And if there's not a lot going on right now, then you have a great opportunity to bring something good, whether it's as a performer, producer, whatever it is that you decide to do. It's going to be a success. I just know
appreciate it, man. Yeah, I mean, I think I only got 1 or 2 matches left in me. That ain't going to ask too much out of me. But I do want to bring wrestling back to New Braunfels. And the memories I had with y'all, man, and I want to create something, you know. And I know if I got in your ear about it when I was out there last year. Was that last year, by the way?
It's been a year, dude. It has been a year.
Wow,
and
man.
There's been ups and downs and side to sides, but it's all been a learning process.
Golly,
I can't stay mad at the things that didn't go the way they should have, or the things that didn't go in my favor. But I can say that we've come out of the fire a lot better than what we were before.
You know, bro, I'm gonna say this because I know a lot of guys that we worked with are gonna watch this show. And we're going to probably end with this because I don't want these cameras to go out on us as well. But I will tell you this, man. I always wanted the best for everybody. No matter what scale they thought I treated them or they thought they could treat me, I wanted everybody to be successful some way, somehow. And to see guys like us doing what we love, man, bro, I teared about it today, man.
It's surreal.
You know,
dude.
it is, man.
If you think about it, we're not too far off from where we were when we first started. However, we're just at a different level.
Exactly.
You know, we stuck to it, you know, because we're going to be knocked down so many times. But if you stick to it, it's like I've mentioned before, it's a little bit of a delusion that you really have to believe in yourself that much. But honestly, dude, like if you don't, then how else do you expect these other people to have made it, right? Like they believe in themselves in such a way.
You have to almost be insanely crazy to think that that's going to happen, right?
Nothing is by accident, at least not for very long.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So guys that are out there, man, whether you're young in the industry and you're following Joe or Alvaro, however you know him, and you're watching this podcast, man, keep going for your fucking dreams, bro. Like I remember us sitting in a bar in the back, you know, getting ready for a show, but understanding the importance of what those people paid for, whether it was $5, $10, $15, $25 to come see us. You know, it was making sure we did what they paid for. And we still do that today, man. You know?
Just have to commit.
Yeah, you do.
Have to commit.
Yeah, and take that extra booking sometimes, and especially if you're young, hitting the road, man. I think that was one thing. I still have it in me, man. From what I mean by that is the promoting side. To be able to push these guys. I do that in basketball today.
Yeah, dude.
And I did that back in the day.
It's in your blood.
Sitting y'all down, talking about, hey, man, I need you to do this tonight. I need you to do, I need you to bring this out.
Yeah.
And so just real quick, man, from PBR, Pretty Boy Rue, Rico, Oso, again, the guys that were local, Judas Rage, JP Ruin, all these guys, man, did great things for fans that still watch wrestling love. And they follow me today. They're going to watch this episode today.
Huge shout out to them, dude. Huge hug, because I haven't seen those guys in so long. And
I
had great matches with JP Ruin. I had great matches with Sergeant Rico, with PBR, with King also, like all these guys, man. Like we all came through, and BBW was great, dude. JC and I always remember. We always we get together, and we'll, whether it's with a few drinks or a few other things, we always remember good times when we were in BBW.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, Joe, I appreciate you coming on, man. Giving the time to drive out here, bro, as well, man. Like, it wasn't easy, I'm sure. You know, you're
Nah,
traveling,
it's all
brother. I
good,
appreciate that, man. So, guys, if you are in the area tomorrow, again, in Cedar Park, the Austin area, you can go see AEW tomorrow. Big tag team championship match. Big MJF versus Dustin Rhodes tomorrow. So big matches tomorrow. I'm excited to go, man. I went to the whole weekend of WWE, and I'm excited about AEW tomorrow, man. Hell yeah.
All of this before Grand Slam Australia.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Jeez.
Dude, you're going to Australia.
I'm leaving from Austin. Yeah, I'm flying out.
Oh, how excited are you about that, bro?
That's
Going to
why they're
Australia?
shooting tomorrow.
Yeah, we're shooting tomorrow, and then it's gonna air Wednesday.
Okay.
Over at the HEB Center.
No wonder why I was on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
I had
dude,
to like triple check.
yeah, I was like, dude, if I want to make this, because again, I saw to kill Tony, and then I saw it was a Tuesday. I was like, wait a second, is something going on here? They're not
Yeah,
recording.
You're
no
making
more?
the trip too?
And
I'm
then,
I'm heading
That's
out.
awesome, man.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I was able to do London. Thank you. I was able to do London.
Wembley Stadium?
Yeah, all in. Was I didn't go to the first one, right? Like they told me, yeah, we're not taking everybody, right? And I understood. But I went last year, and geez, a whole week in London. We went to Wales for Collision, and then we did London,
awesome.
and it was just incredible, man. And now Australia, like.
Yeah.
You know, it's
That's
funny.
crazy.
I'm flying out on a Wednesday, but I arrive Friday morning. So
That's great.
It's I got to prepare.
How long's the
myself.
flight? How long's the
I think
flight?
it's like 12 hours.
Have you said
12-hour
it?
flight.
So what's the longest you've been on a plane now?
Man, I can't remember what London was, but it was the London flight.
was a
for
London
sure.
flight,
It might have
okay,
been like
yeah.
9 hours if I'm not mistaken.
Okay,
but
so this
I
this
slept
next
through
one's
it
gonna
all.
be the 12 now.
Yeah, I just hope my phone battery lasts that long.
Bro, I'm not a big traveler, and I'm learning that now because I'm traveling more.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit, I gotta download my movies and everything beforehand.
You gotta be ready.
know?
Well, I mean, luckily, like T-Mobile gives you like free in
Yeah.
flight.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I have. However, I don't know how it works internationally. So
Yeah,
it's
gonna challenge you.
I'll
there.
probably stay up late the night before so I could sleep the entire flight.
What's the most challenging thing about traveling now, bro? Now that you're all over the fucking world now.
It's packing enough or packing the right things, because
I forgot my
feel-
calzones.
Dude, you'd be surprised. Like
Again.
it's not. Yeah, it's happened.
Hey,
before.
Carlos gonna borrow.
You got some boxing, a thong. Wait till-
What are you doing in your spare time, buddy?
No, dude, but yeah, I think it's just that. I mean, I've gotten used to like sometimes not sleeping, but having to
Yeah.
make the flight and all that stuff. Like that's already. It's probably like my least favorite thing about my job is the travel. But because once the show starts, that red light is on. Like I'm in heaven.
Dude, adrenaline, bro.
I'm enjoying myself.
Even sitting there watching, the adrenaline would just fucking get me going, bro. So
And it's funny that like I feel like I have a character for when I perform, when I do commentary, because
Yeah.
the way I do my commentary is not the way I speak in Spanish. Like sometimes I have trouble holding a conversation in Spanish, but on the commentary table, I'm something else. I'm someone else. Like
You're telling a story.
Yeah.
it's like this is who I have to be for this role.
Hell yeah.
And it's a little weird. Like I know it's like I don't even know if I'm expressing myself in the right way,
Yeah.
but that's what happens. That's how I feel. Like it's like once that red light is on, I'm not who I used to be. Right.
But bro, how many of us have that inner child when wrestling comes
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
When we, just jumping for joy for certain. Like tomorrow, you're gonna hear this kid come out tomorrow right here. This kid right here on the screen, he comes out, bro, and I love it, bro. And
That's the beauty of wrestling.
That's the beauty of wrestling. You're correct, and so I'm glad that you're able to still live as a kid on that table still in a way, and that's awesome, bro. With again Carlos Cabrera,
Carlos
who you
Cabrera,
grew
man,
up watching.
La
And
voz.
we are
not Jay
bringing-
Pettis, right?
No, not
No,
Right?
I'm glad you knew that one.
and we're bringing back the tradition of the table spot, you can say, because that's been happening.
Yeah.
It's been
That's good.
Since Carlos came on board. We've been at ringside for pay-per-views, and the talent, how they are.
Yeah.
They get that itchy finger, bro. Like they know what they have a history of going through those.
Do you ever
Spanish
feel like you just
tables.
want to throw a little Valentine on yourself,
No,
bro?
dude, not at all. Like I'm telling you, I tap into something else, and I'm not Bandana Joe. I'm not Joe Haas. Like I'm Alvaro Riojas, the commentator, and I am afraid. Do
You're
not
like,
touch me. Like
"Get
get
away,
away.
get
Yeah, like it's something else.
That's awesome, man. Well, again, Joe, I appreciate you coming on, brother. I know this is hopefully one of many.
Yeah, man.
I know we talked about hopefully maybe creating something great.
See?
So every time you come in the area, bro, we'd love to have you out. So
For sure, man.
And Thunder Rosa, I'm coming for you. I want you to come on the show.
I'm gonna talk to you, man. Lo voy a decir.
Come on.
I
got some friends I want.
when next time y'all come around, pleplease make time, and I'll take you around here to eat tacos
Órale.
as well, and
we'll
that'd
do
be
the
awesome.
taco vlog. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll do the taco vlog. vlog. Heck yeah. So
that sounds good.
Plug yourself, brother. Where can they find the taco vlog? Where can they find you on social media? All that good stuff.
You can find me on Instagram at alvaro.aew. We've got the Fortuna Texas Wrestling as well on Instagram, where you guys can keep up with our next show, our past shows, all that stuff. And, I'm not so big on Facebook. I'm trying to relearn Facebook. I was off for so long, and I don't use X very much, nor TikTok. So it's like Instagram's my only social. We're trying to build or establish the YouTube. But I've got my video files, which are huge files, right? So I got to try to find a way to cut them up, get the music out, so it's not an issue.
There's your guy.
So,
you know a guy, man.
You know a guy?
You know a guy.
There's your guy.
I might know a guy.
I might know a guy.
No, and the cool thing is, like there's a fan, from North Carolina who's even offered to help with music
you don't
too,
want
like the
no, I'm just kidding.
So I mean, like that's the beauty is that there's people who want to help, and I'm so grateful for all those people that have been a part of the journey. Justin, JRock, you were a huge part of my journey, and continue to talk about you to this day.
I
dude.
appreciate
everything
it,
that we did out here in New Braunfels.
Yeah, tell all your friends. No, I'm just playing. No, I appreciate you, brother. Like I said, man, it's been a crazy journey, and it's awesome, and I'm so proud of you, man. I'm happy for you to be where you're at. And hopefully one day I'll be holding the camera somewhere around you or something like that. You'll see what happens, man.
It was a pleasure, brother.
With clothes on. With
clothes on, yeah. I got to make sure we say that one. That's for damn sure. All right, guys. Thank you for watching the KickRocks Podcast. Whether you're watching live or on YouTube, make sure you follow us, man. KickRocks Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, and on YouTube, you have to follow Social Plug Media to see all our shows. And guys, make sure you give us a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And please go make sure you follow this AEW awesome commentator.
Let's do it.
The Mexican-Spanish commentator.
Vámonos,
like I said, right? Hell yeah. All right, Izzy, you out, man?
I'm out, man.
All right, brother. Good stuff, man. All right, guys, we'll see y'all later. Y'all have a good one. Take care.